that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the man who died and gave that right to me. So I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the man who died and gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Bobby, we had a hearing this week in Congress, in the Judiciary Committee, and the hearing title was this: Abuses by the Obama administration. That was the title of the hearing. And they only gave me 5 minutes. And when I saw the title, I didn't know whether to start with Solyndra and government picking one industry over another and one applicant for a loan proposal over another, or government helping their friends write applications for loan proposals, or government employees using their private email instead of their public email so we wouldn't find out about Solyndra. I didn't know whether to start there or whether to move to laws that have been passed by Congress, but this executive branch, headed by Barack Obama, just doesn't see fit to enforce. The Defense of Marriage Act was passed by the House, the Senate, and signed by a president, if memory serves, named Bill Clinton, who just spoke up the road in Charlotte at the Democrat National Convention. It's the law of the land. And for this executive branch to refuse to enforce the Defense of Marriage Act, let me tell you the way the Constitution works. If you don't like a law, you change it. You do it the right way. You don't just decide you're not going to enforce it. So we moved from the Defense of Marriage Act to our immigration laws. Because as you know, Secretary Napolitano sent out a memorandum that we're not going to enforce our immigration laws. I know that has nothing to do with the fact that we're in an election year and she wants to court Hispanic voters. It just happened to be a coincidence. But I know a little something about prosecutorial discretion. I know a little something about it. Prosecutorial discretion, as Alan Witzel will tell you, is if you take a case-by-case basis, it is not summarily announcing ahead of time in a memo that we're not going to enforce certain sections of the law. That's not prosecutorial discretion. That's anarchy. So do we go there? Do we go to Solyndra? Do we go to the Defense of Marriage Act? Do we go to the failure to enforce our immigration laws? Or do we talk about executive privilege and how Senator Obama had a very different view of executive privilege than President Obama? And it got me thinking this hearing this week, what an interesting exercise it would be to see a debate between Senator Obama and President Obama. The problem is MSNBC wouldn't know who the heck to pull for in that debate. Or should we talk about the transformation of our Energy Secretary, Stephen Chu, who at one point advocated for European-level gas prices, $10 a gallon. And then he had an epiphany about the same time as his confirmation hearing, where he didn't believe in European-level gas prices anymore. Or should we talk about recess appointments? Whether it's the NLRB or Richard Cordray and the CFPB, and how the definition of recess means something different when the Republicans in the White House than if the Democrats in the White House. Let me tell you the chronology of the recess appointment. There was a vacancy for 6 months. The president waited until mid-December to send a name to the Senate, and 2 weeks later he makes a recess appointment. Under his definition of recess, it includes lunch breaks and naps in the U.S. Senate. And let me tell you, with the exception of our guy, there are a lot of naps being taken in the U.S. Senate over the last 2 years. Do we talk about that abuse of this executive branch and this administration, or do we go to something called fast and furious? Do we go to this administration's refusal to turn over documents to a constitutionally constructed oversight committee? We had to sue him in court. We had to hold his attorney general in contempt of court, and we still don't have the documents. Or do we, under this heading, this hearing title called Abuses of This Administration, do we talk about the fact that the Department of Justice, not the Department of Politics, not the Department of Let Me Get Reelected, the Department of Justice sent a demonstrably false letter to a committee of Congress, and it took them 10 months to correct it? I decided to skip all of those because I want to go straight to Kathleen Sebelius and her desire to balance your right to the free exercise of religion with her desire to get her reelected. If you have not watched the video of Kathleen Sebelius before the Education and Workforce Committee, I want you to watch it, because I asked her to please explain to me the constitutional underpinnings of her decision to require employers and insurance companies to provide insurance policies that include abortifacients. I want to know what your constitutional authority is to make people violate their religious views. And she could tell me the political ramifications, and she could tell me the electoral college ramifications, but the look on her face when I asked her about the Constitution was stunning. So, Madam Secretary, from Greenville, South Carolina, I want you to spend more time reading the Hatch Act, which she was just found in violation of, more time reading the Constitution, and less time trying to figure out how you're going to get your boss reelected at the expense of my First Amendment rights. Now, I want to say this in conclusion. And Bobby, I'm going to do if it's okay with you, Mr. McLain, just like they did in Charlotte, I'm going to put this to a vote. Is it okay for me to say God bless you? Yeah. Is it okay for me to say God bless the United States of America?
The government has continued to move further and further to the left, and now we've got a government that regularly tramples on our rights as free men and women. So as much as we've done in the past, and as much as we thought in the past we were doing what we needed to do to take our country back, this time, in the most important election in my lifetime, we need to be able to do more. And what that means is that we need to be able to convince other people that the conservative way is the best way forward for the country. We need to be able to convince them that liberalism is wrong. How are we going to do that? Because it's not easy. It's not easy to... You know this. You know that it's not easy to be conservative. You know that it's not easy to be responsible. And we all know it's not easy to be free. Part of the difficulties with being conservatives is that it's also very difficult to explain it. I'm convinced that one of the reasons that the country is as liberal as it is because it's easy to be liberal. You get to appeal to people's emotions. You get to appeal to the things that they don't have to think about. But we do as conservatives, and it's hard. In order to do that, we've got to have one thing. We have to have courage in our convictions. We have to have courage to stand up to the attacks that we know are coming. Think about it. In the next 53 days, what are they going to say about us? They're going to say that the mean-spirited conservatives want to push grandma off a cliff. Or they want to make old people eat dog food. We have to have the courage to explain how our entitlement programs are stealing the future from our children. And we have to have the courage to explain that it's necessary to fix it now and not later. And when the liberals say about us that we're hard-hearted and we want to balance the budget, all we really want to do is lay off teachers and firemen and policemen. We have to have the courage to look them in the eye and explain to them that the president's stimulus package did not put a single person back to work. It didn't do it last time, it won't do it next time, and the only thing that taking money from one group of people and giving it to another group of people, the only thing that builds is division and contempt. And lastly, and you know the attacks are coming, when the liberals get up and say that these backward-thinking conservatives, all they want to do is take us back to the past. We have to have the courage to look in the eye and say, you need to have more faith in a 223-year-old document called the Constitution than you do in the current resident of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
It is time to take our country back. I was asked on Facebook, take it back from what? And here's my response, some of it. I said, well, we know we want to take it back from those who are driving up our debt, keeping unemployment above 8%. Let's take it back from the folks that are spending $1 trillion more than we're bringing in as a nation. In fact, it's been 4 years in a row above $1 trillion more than we're bringing in as a nation bankrupt in this country. We're giving money away to cronies like they did with Solyndra. This government is not enforcing the Defense of Marriage Act. This government is giving citizenship rights away to illegal aliens. This is a government which has weakened our defenses with the START Treaty and removing missiles from our ally in Poland. This is a government that is one that is keeping us from harnessing the natural resources that we have in this country to be truly American energy independent. But yet they're keeping gasoline prices at $4 a gallon nationwide. This is a government that we will take back from the same groups who are promulgating regulations which are stymieing job growth and keeping small business from thriving. We should take it back from the policies that incentivize Americans to stay at home versus seeking employment. You know, we say we should take our government back. But I think about we should take our government back metaphorically to another day in time. We need to take our back or return our nation to a nation that once again stands firm behind our belief in our Heavenly Father. We need to return to a nation that upholds our traditional values of marriage and family. We need to return to a nation where we are a nation that believes that our government should live within its means, and a nation that doesn't have $16 trillion in debt. We should return our nation to its roots. We should return our nation to where we adhere to the values of our founding fathers, those of limited government and individual liberties. I want us to return to a point in America where we're respected around the world both economically and militarily. A time where the President of the United States promotes and champions American exceptionalism and does not apologize for it around the world. The folks I see in this crowd tonight, and I understand that unlike the golfer-in-chief, American exceptionalism is different from French exceptionalism. It is different from German exceptionalism. It is different from Greek exceptionalism. It is what made America great. The American experiment that became the United States of America was a revolution. A revolution which changed the world by changing our form of government with three little words. And these words pack a huge punch. Three little words that you know. Can you say them with me? We the people. Again, we the people. Once more. We the people. Will once again help America turn to its greatness. And it begins November 6th. With the Romney-Ryan presidency, I believe there will be another rising sun over this great nation. A new day for America. May God bless you, and may God bless America. Thank you very much.
When you go to the ballot box in November, you should remember to cast your ballot for the individual and not a straight party ticket. If you vote a straight party ticket, you will not vote for a petition candidate, and you will put the corrupt legislators back in office. You should not vote for someone just because they are a petition candidate. Know who you're voting for.